Hey, hello, and welcome to the Feel Strong Fitness Podcast. My name is Justin McClintock, and you need to do a little bit less, maybe a lot less. We need to cut some stuff out, and that's really important. What are we talking about? I see over and over and over again, especially when people get very committed to their goals or they kind of go all in. And generally, I'm a big fan of going all in. If what you are after is significant change, you are going to have to change significantly. That often means reprioritizing. That means creating new routines, new habits, new paths of discipline. Going hard when you're trying to create change is generally a pretty good idea because it's a pretty hard thing to do. So pushing through that initial resistance that we all naturally have to creating new habits and new routines is important. However, when this happens, we frequently see that people start doing a little bit too much. What do I mean by that? People start exercising, group fitness, one-on-one, working with the trainer, whatever it is they're doing, and they go from 3 times a week to 4 times a week to 5 to 6 to doing 2-a-days. They go too far, they exceed their capacity, and now they're injured all the time. They're sore all the time. Their progress has plateaued or possibly even gone backwards. And the only answer they have is to keep throwing more at it. Well, I'm strong, but I wish I was more flexible, but I wish I had better endurance. I'm going to do 9 sessions a week instead of 4 sessions a week. If you are doing 9 sessions a week, unless you are a competitive athlete, it is very likely you are wasting time, not being remotely as effective as you could be, and potentially doing some damage. Potentially setting yourself backwards a little bit. This happens not only with exercise. Everything around kind of fitness has this problem. So warming up, following your program, recovery, meal prep, supplements, all of these things, it's very easy to start adding them into your life, your program, your routine, and they can kind of balloon. How many times have you seen someone who shows up at the gym and spends 45 minutes warming up? They have their foam rolling and their stretching and their cardio and then their movement and joint specific warm up. And they go through all of this before every single workout. Now, is it bad to do that? It's not bad in the case that they're probably not doing any damage. Are they wasting their time? Yeah, probably. And I have a strong dislike toward wasting time. If what you're doing is something that you enjoy, Justin, when I foam roll, it feels great. I get to hang out and talk to my friends and socialize, and I do my little stretching routine. When I stretch, it feels really good. I do my cardio warm up, and my temperature is rising. I start to break a little sweat. I get kind of locked in neurologically. I know I'm ready to work now. I'm cool with all of that. Do you need to do it? Very unlikely. Most people can warm up in 5 to 10 minutes. And then the movement specific warm up can be the feeder sets to your working sets. Meaning as you're building up in weight, reps, whatever it is, depending on the movement for your sets, that can be the joint specific warm up. If you're squatting, raise your temperature a little bit. Again, 5, maybe 10 minutes of work, and then start squatting. Start squatting. Of course, if you have an injury, if you're coming back from an injury, if you have something chronic going on and you know that needs to be addressed, I'm 100% on board. It probably still isn't 45 minutes. I bet it's still like 5 minutes of work. Maybe you're doing some clamshells, some monster walks, little isometric hold, and then you're off to the races. Doing too much can also infect a program. And this happens all the time. I especially feel like I see this in the functional fitness, / general preparedness fitness world, where people kind of want to do everything. And being okay at everything, I think, is actually kind of a fine pursuit. I want to be strong enough. I want to be fast enough. I want to be bouncy enough. I want to be flexible enough. I want to be able to kind of do the things I want to be able to do well enough. That's a fine goal. I want to be incredible at everything. That's likely an unattainable goal. depending on what your scale of very good is, and can lead to I used to see this all the time coaching CrossFit, where people would be CrossFitting 4, 5, sometimes 6 times a week, and then also following an intense squat program, and then also following an intense endurance program, and then, and then, and then. And the fact is, these things start butting up against each other. You cannot squeeze all of the juice and value out of an incredible squat program if you are also pursuing an incredible endurance program. You just can't do it. You can't be doing high level functional fitness 6 days a week and be doing an intense endurance program and have them both go very well. And that's one of the issues here. Is it wrong? No, not necessarily, but it's probably a waste of your time. And if your goals are to get really good at these things, it's unlikely to work. And that's where phases come in and progression comes in. And if you're working with a coach, you can lay this out in a cycle. Pardon me, I often lay out months, if not a year, for clients, depending on their goals, of the things we're going to work on. Okay, now we're going to focus on Olympic weightlifting. We're going to go really hard on Olympic weightlifting for 3 months. We're not going to do zero cardio. We're not going to do zero gymnastics. We're not going to do zero mobility, but it's going to fade to the background. Then after 3 months, we're going to let Olympic weightlifting fade to the background. We're probably going to still do some cleans. We might do some snatch-centric stuff, but now we're going to work on absolute strength. Or now we're going to work on some cardiorespiratory endurance. Or now we're going to work on some sprinting ability. Or now we're going to work on plyometrics, cutting, getting bouncy, being really resilient as you change direction. All of these things feed into each other. You know, a place where this is a huge problem is recovery protocols. And part of the reason is because there's a ton of money to be made in recovery protocols. And everyone and their mom and every fitness influencer and their dad is selling you a thing and a protocol to go with it. I think at this point we know that ice baths and cold plunging isn't particularly good for recovery. Blunt hypertrophy is a thing you shouldn't do after a workout. If you don't know that, now you do. The benefits of cold exposure have been wildly misrepresented and exaggerated. Again, if it's a thing you like doing, have at. Keep doing it. Do the thing because you like doing it. Do the thing because you like that intense sensation really focuses you and makes you feel good, and it's a great way to hit the day. I'm completely on board. I would say the same thing about journaling, though. Is it absolutely necessary? Is it definitely going to make you better? No, probably not. If you put it in the wrong place, it could potentially set you back a little bit. But if it's a thing you like to do, I think you should probably do it. Cold plunging, foam rolling, compression gear, all kinds of nonsense supplements, long yoga/mobility routines when that isn't your main pursuit, long stretching routines. Mobility is an entirely separate program, doing 4 45-minute mobility routines a week. Sorry, mobility coaches, it's not a specific, it's a waste of most people's time. But people start stapling these things on, and the routine grows and grows and grows. And here's my problem with all of this. We're not done. There's a few other things I want to talk about. But part of my problem with all of this is it essentially becomes unsustainable. And suddenly, if your schedule gets a little bit crazy, or your kids need something, or your job gets a little weird, or the weather is unpleasant, or there's a house emergency, or something else happens, now you can't do your routine. Because your routine involves making sure your special compression clothes are ready, getting to the gym an hour before the workout starts so you can do your extended recovery routine, doing 2.5 hours of work at the gym because you do the group class, you do your special squatting routine, and then you do your secret squirrel sprinting program. And then you have 30 to 45 minutes of post-workout recovery protocol you have to go through. Go home, take a cold plunge, journal about it, meditate through the entire thing, and now we're 5.5 hours in, and that doesn't fit in most people's lives. I am routinely writing programs for people that are 30 minutes bang, like door to door. And they get stronger and they get better and they move toward their goals. With all of this, I strongly encourage you to look at the things you're doing and ask yourself, what can I cut out? What can I lose? Now, this is obviously, I'm talking to people who are training and doing a bunch of stuff right now, but is it possible for me to do less? What supplements are you taking? Why? Did you just start adding things on? Do you just keep buying things because you heard they would work? And maybe you've seen results and maybe you haven't, and maybe you felt different and maybe you haven't, but you just keep doing it because you think you're supposed to do it. So you're taking protein and creatine and some pre-workout carbs and some intra-workout carbs and some pre-workout also on top of it and some BCAAs and some EAAs and some beetroot juice and some other vascular opener things and some nitrous oxide and now you have 15 powders and 4 pills you're taking. What of that could you cut out and not really see any loss and not really go backwards and not really see, any decrease? I bet everything except the protein and creatine. And if you have enough protein in your diet, you don't even need the protein. It's there as a supplement, remember? That word supplement is really important. It's not supposed to be the meal. It's not supposed to be a main thing. It's not supposed to be something you desperately need. It is there to, pardon me, it is there to supplement what you're already doing. What about meal prep? We can ruffle some feathers here because meal prep, I'm a huge fan of making meal prep as easy as possible. What's the least you can do and have it still work? Maybe you're not going to the farmer's market and chopping up all fresh produce every week and making individual salads. Maybe you're buying bagged salad and eating it right out of the bag. Did you meal prep? I think so. I mean, it's in the fridge, it's grab and go. I think you're prepped. Do you need 3 different proteins and 4 different carbohydrate sources and 2 different healthy fats sitting there ready to go? Or can you do one slow cooker meal that tastes pretty good? You can have that for at least 1 meal a day for the next 6 or 7 days. Now, is doing the bigger meal prep bad? No, not at all. And if you can do it, I think that's cool. If you like doing it, that's even better. But too often we see that people consider meal prep as, well, I need to make 3 or 4 proteins and 4 or 5 carbohydrate sources and have all of them be different and interesting and really thrilling, a little complicated, and with these amazing macros and it gets too big and it becomes untenable. And the first time they do it, it takes them 6.5 hours on a Sunday. So they're unlikely to ever do it again. What if it took you 20 minutes? Yeah, that probably fits a lot better into most people's lives, doesn't it? We are returning to this idea of what can you cut out? What could you lose from your warm-up and not see any regression, detriment? It's not going to hurt your progress. What could you cut out of your program or programs that you're doing and still be moving toward your goals? What could you lose from your recovery protocol and still recover sufficiently? What could you cut from your supplement routine and still see progress and still make gains and still not feel like you are moving backwards? How simple could you make your meal prep and still have meals ready to go, still be hitting your nutritional goals, still be moving forward? So many people, and especially those of you who have been in this like fitness training space for a while, have just kept adding and stapling things on without taking 2 big steps back and asking the questions, well, how much of this do I really need? I understand that a 30-minute warm-up, a super simple protein shake, and a 3-minute cold shower after a workout is not the sexiest routine. It certainly doesn't make for much of an Instagram post. I'm here to tell you. but it can be incredibly effective. And it will tend to fit in more lives more consistently and tend to be something you can really stick with. If you are doing a big, giant program and your 45-minute warm up and your 2.5-hour workout 6 days a week, your 30 to 60-minute recovery protocol afterward, as well as like the compression boots and everything at night, and your red light therapy and your stupid IV drip that you go to a spa and get, your 19-step meal prep and 6 pills and 7 powders supplement routine. If you love it, if it makes you feel good, if it makes you happy, you can afford it, you're not being taken advantage of, you have time for it, you're able to say yes to everything else in your life, you're not being turned into a social outcast or a weirdo or saying no to things you wish you could say yes to, then you're cool. That's totally cool. But I still encourage you to recognize that you're doing a lot of that because you like doing it, because it makes you feel good, because maybe it makes you feel like more of a legitimate exerciser or fitness person, trainer, athlete, whatever it is. A lot of it could disappear, and your progress toward your goals, the way you look, feel, and perform, would not be affected. I think you can probably do less, and I think that's probably good for you. I hope this is useful. I am excited to hear the feedback from all of this. My name is Justin McClintock. Feel strong.